Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the October Community Update. If we could get everybody to take their seats, we're going to get started. Just a couple of administrative remarks before I hand it over to Colonel Lucas. Thank you to the Red Cross for providing coffee, always appreciated. Don't forget there are feedback forms on your table. If you have feedback for us, please fill them out, leave them on the table. We will collect them at the end. There's also a lot of information, flyers and things on your table. I want to highlight Santa's Castle with some important dates on there that you need to know about. And then also, there is a sign-in roster going around. Please sign in. If there are updates to your specific area, please provide those updates for us so we can keep an active running roster. And at this time, I will turn it over to Colonel Lucas for her opening.
Opening comments, ma'am, and then.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the community update. Good morning, sir, Colonel Snelson, and all of the command teams that are here. I appreciate your presence this morning. We've got a good agenda of things to talk about this morning, and we do want to leave a little bit of time at the end to have a conversation or discussion about things that you may want to talk about that we didn't cover already. First, just from an admin perspective, please kind of can get loud in here when some of the briefers are talking, so let's keep those sidebars kind of to a minimum. I do have a couple things just as opening comment, and then we are going to do a recognition as well. So we made a couple of changes. We've added a calendar this time, so we're going to hit some key events. I've gotten Buck James to come up, and he's going to talk calendar events. I also started a twice-a-month email out to commanders to try to help spread the word on sort of key upcoming events or things that you need to know about. So we'll work multiple ways to help with the information sharing and, sort of prioritization of community-type information that will hopefully help you with what you need. Just a couple things from me. October's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We'll talk about that. It's also Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so there's a couple of those focus areas for this month. I also want to just talk briefly about safety. As the weather changes and the daylight hours changes, this is the time of year that we really see a lot of near misses on the roads on JBLM. So please help spread the word on that. In crosswalks, during PT hours, during the hours when kids are walking to school and walking to the bus stop, we all need to be really vigilant out there. We've already had several near misses in crosswalks as well as outside of them, so please help us in that regard. The other one is speeding and as well as distracted driving, particularly cell phone use. From our perspective, it's difficult to catch, pull someone over, make a traffic stop for cell phone use, on the installation, but it is something that we really want to try to target going forward. So please help us with the communication of that, because it really helps do what we need to do to keep the community safe. Do you want to do the recognition? I have one more thing. Do we add the slide? Yeah, please. So I just want to highlight this. This was a late ad. We have an opportunity to screen this movie here, When War Comes Home. We're going to do it at Cary Theater on October 17th at 19:30. And so it's free for the community. We're going to open that up to the community. It's something that we've been tracking coming here as an opportunity to view. I'll just read you briefly. So there that you can see up on the slide. So 3 Iraq and Afghanistan war veterans return home. It's very focused on post-traumatic stress disorder and some of the ways about, personal stories, real stories about seeking help. And so I want to make sure I talked about that here and offer that to the community coming up. And we'll try to, we'll spread the word like we do with all events, but I wanted to highlight it here for you. So that you're aware it's coming, and then also we're kind of prepared for something like this as soldiers, family members, service members potentially attend. At this point, we're just going to do a quick recognition to get us started this morning.
Yes, ma'am. Sergeant Westbrook, come on down. You're the next contestant. Specialist Metcalf. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to hand the microphone off to Sergeant Westbrook, who's going to speak a few words about Specialist Metcalf and what she's done for not only our service, but our country.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm Staff Sergeant Westbrook. We're here to recognize Specialist Metcalf. This past month, we went to Texas in support of Hurricane Harvey. A couple of things that Specialist Metcalf did. She was always the first one to pop up when stuff needed to be done. We helped support Beaumont and Houston with logistical assets. She helped transload 68,000 pounds of Canadian humanitarian relief effort, specifically infant supplies, in like less than a 4-hour period. She also helped out with getting Force Sustainment Brigade ready to go for onboard movement towards Hurricane Irma relief efforts. So she did a great job out there.
Thanks for highlighting some great Americans.
All right, sir. Sir, the floor is yours.
Hey, good morning. Well, this table's a go. All the rest of you, we got to retrain. Good morning. Okay, that's false motivation, but it's getting better. Hey, thanks for coming. Every week I come, or every time I come to this meeting, we just start to grow more and more of the community of purpose here. So I'm really excited to, and thank you all for coming today. I had a great discussion yesterday. The Surgeon General of our Army, and I know Mike Place, if he's here, will probably reinforce some of this about this MHS Genesis and the transformation that's going to happen here later this month. And so we talked a little bit about the concerns that we have here at the installation about outpatient care and what the impacts will be. And so we've gone back to her to ask us, or ask for some assistance if we need it. And so I just want you to know from the Army's perspective, they are tracking some of the issues that we have here on JBLM. So what I would ask you to do is, as you hear these briefings that we've had over the last few months about MHS Genesis, that is the number one thing on the installation that is on my screen because of the impact it has on families. So that's the first piece. Secondly, I'll be less nice than Nicole is on cell phone use. We just went through a fatality review board through FORCECOM, and they had a soldier die because in a tactical vehicle movement, the vehicle commander was on his cell phone, not paying attention, and the soldier slammed into a cargo truck and was killed. So I am really, really focused on eliminating cell phone use while you're driving. So I've told our garrison, I'm telling our MPs, we are going to ramp up. I'm just warning you right now. We are going to ramp up getting after cell phone use on the installation while you're driving. I just want to make sure everybody's tracking that. I am right now putting a policy forward for my judge to review that even though cell phone use is restricted by Washington state law, I'm going to put in some other things UCMJ-wise and driving restriction-wise on the installation to stop cell phone use. So if you would please because I know none of us drive with cell phones here, so I'm preaching to the choir. My wife would argue that probably a little bit with me. But what I want to make sure we do is you get that to your units, because they will start to see that being addressed more enforced more widely on the installation. We'll reinforce a little bit about what Nicole said about the time of season changing. They gave me a great update at Garrison yesterday about severe weather and what the impacts and how we operate the installation. The Garrison has a really, really good plan. So I would just say, as I told them, I'm not about giving free holidays, but I am about mitigating risk to the force and to our families. And so I've asked them to go back out and highlight who key and essential people are, who essential people are, because there's a difference. If you're key, you may not be essential. If you're key and essential, you should be here. And so we'll put that out, because that will be who's got to telework, who should be on the roads and who shouldn't be. We've had incidents here where we said the only key and essential come in We got, Valesky thinks, well, I got nothing else to do, I'll just go to work, gets in an accident, and now we're trying to figure out how to get this person that shouldn't have been on the road anyway out of harm's way. So we are working that piece proactively right now, and I just want to thank the garrison for all the great work that they've been doing. And then finally, I just want to highlight that great soldier that we just recognized. What we normally do is we wait and we talk to all commanders and highlight them in front of the people that already know they're doing a good job. The reason we're doing that here is to let you know what great things that our servicemen and women are doing at JBLM. And that great soldier, she's just one example of all of the great things that are going across the formation. And so part of this is to get out the news of what your servicemen and women are doing to support not just JBLM, but to support what's going on. And what my biggest message to everyone in the Army is that from a First Corps perspective that thinks all we do is walk around in PACOM, we got hundreds of soldiers deployed across the world, CENTCOM in Iraq, Afghanistan today. So this isn't just a Corps that hangs out in the Pacific. It's a Corps that does things wherever we're told to go and do whatever we're told to do. So I just want to say thanks again, and I look forward to seeing the rest of the update.
Thanks, sir. On behalf of my boss, Colonel Reba Sankis, who sends her regrets, she's TDY right now, and as well as enjoying some leave, she wanted to pass along her thanks. And why I say thanks, every single one of us is very busy, our airmen included in that. Since the last time we had this community update, the very last one, and you heard it with Specialist Metcalf, our airmen have been their normal busy, but also on top of that, we've had the 4 different hurricanes came through the region. Someone asked me on the way in here this morning exactly what we had done. So far, as of this morning, we've helped either fly or enabled 2.5 million pounds of humanitarian relief. We've flown over 28 different missions within that AOR. And in fact, our Air National Guard airmen over in the Western Air Defense Sector, when the Houston 911 call centers were overwhelmed, they were forwarding the 911 calls here, right here to Washington. And our controllers on McChord Field were vectoring in search and rescue helicopters and plucking Texans off the roofs of their houses. So our airmen alone were credited with 800 saves, so it's pretty remarkable. But I don't tell you that story to brag on just our airmen, because I think everyone in here can acknowledge the Air Force is the best branch of service. And
Could you cut his mic off right now?
is this thing on? Is this? I say that because the only way these airmen could do what they do is because of the people here and the organizations that they represent. If those airmen didn't know that they were taken care of, that their families weren't taken care of, they couldn't do the mission that they're out doing 24/7, 365. So on behalf of all of our airmen, on behalf of my commander, Colonel Sankis, thank you very much.
Well, good morning. I'm back by popular demand. For those of you who haven't met, I'm Buck James. I'm the director of DPTMS, most hated man on the Joint Base. I take that seriously. I've got some good news for you. So this week, we have a personal shred day on Friday. Now, let me operationalize this for you. Friday is a Donza, so you can task your spouse to go and take your personal shred in and get it done. Monday is Columbus Day. So then you can have him refill the boxes, or her, that you just had shredded. So again, personal shred, it's a great opportunity to continue to get rid of all that stuff that you PCS'd with. Again, standing rule, if you've PCS'd twice and not opened a box, just shred it. Okay, just get rid of it. As I said, Columbus Day. Hey, I'm not sure if this has been verified yet. I'm going to defer to General Valesky on this. But my understanding is that Sergeant Major Tagg and General Valesky have now challenged folks at the golf scramble to be able to do it with one club as quickly as possible. I believe it's going to be a sprint scramble, something like that, sir. Actually, okay, Roger, he's writing that down.
And you're my partner.
Oh, well, sir, we're going to lose. Okay, so I did want to mention also the walk in the dark at Shoreline Park, that haunted house. I know it's very popular with a lot of the folks that live on base. I can guarantee you, from what I understand, not just from the Ministry of Fun, but this is going to be a good time, but I can guarantee you Sergeant Major Mulryan and Chief Hollinger went and tested it the other day. They came out, both of them were crying like young girls. So it should be a good time for all. I do want to mention the Great Shakeout Drill on the 19th of October. Many of you have been here before. You know what this is about. Some of you don't. It's very simple. At 10:19 on the 19th, we are asking that everybody, regardless of where you are or what you're doing, practice your actions to take cover in an earthquake. Many of you have seen the news stories. Many of you have been here for a while. You understand that we do live under the threat of potential earthquakes here, significant ones. And not just the Cascadia subduction zone, but the multiple faults that run through the South Puget Sound. And those are shallow quakes, and they will cause damage. So I would ask you, please take that opportunity to take actions, and then when you come out, look around where you are, especially if you're in your workspace, if you're at home, and do an assessment on what might have happened in a big quake. Do you have large bookshelves that would have fallen over? Well, we probably need to get those with security straps and get them secured to the wall. So again, the operations orders that have gone out through units, folks know that they're going to do that on the 19th and then assess their situations and then order what's necessary and take the actions. But I really would strongly recommend that in your workplaces and in your home, take a look and see what you can do to mitigate the risk. There's a great website, The Great Shakeout. It's got some really good checklists on how you can make sure you're prepared for those possibilities. Moving on, just a couple other things. We have the holiday tree lighting on the 30th of November. Again, another personal shred day on the 1st of December. And then the Jingle Bell Jog. I just want to put a plug in for this. This is another one of those great runs that you can either do a 1K or a 5K, but it doesn't really matter because if you do the 1K, you still get a t-shirt that says you ran the 5K. You can tell folks what you want. So you can meet your objectives one way or the other. That's between you and your crew. And then as you can see, the winter breaks for schools are coming out. As Colonel Lucas and General Valesky have said, a lot more of our kids are going to be on the base during the break period. Please, please, please keep an eye out. So let's protect our community. Unfortunately, sir, Colonel Place is not here, so I can't get a dig on him before he briefs. Normally, he and I like to trade barbs. But, sir, that's it for the calendar. Anybody have any questions? All right, remember to tip your waitress. And that's all I got.
Good morning. My name is Karen Fox. I'm the program manager for Family Advocacy. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and each year the Family Advocacy hosts an event here on Post that's free and open to the public. This year our presenter is going to be Hal Runkle. He's the founder of the Scream Free Institute. The event is going to be held at the McChord Theater on the 20th of October from 1 until 3. So Hal has written a couple of books. The first is Scream Free Marriage and then Scream Free Parenting. And what he's going to be talking about this time is choosing your own adulthood. And I just finished reading this book last night. I would describe it as smart and funny. And he's a great presenter. I've seen him present before. And he wrote the book for his daughter who was going off to college. And basically he talks about decision making, and not necessarily the big decisions that we make in our lives as adults, but some of the smaller decisions that have the greater impacts. So I would encourage you to attend if you have the time. You can register on eventbrite.com, and then the first 100 that arrive are going to receive free books, and Hal is going to be having a book signing afterwards. So if you have any questions regarding that, you can contact the training line at Family Advocacy, and our number is 967-5901. Next slide. So this is the fall lineup for classes at the Family Advocacy Program. You can see that we have classes for parents and teens. We have relationship classes as well as life skill classes. And we also have ongoing play groups. I want to also remind you that Family Advocacy Program has the new Parent Support Program, which is available to all members of the community who have children that are birth to 3. And it helps the families with some of those smaller issues like potty training, nursing, different things like that. So if you have any younger families that need that type of support, you can contact NPSP. And also we have the Installation Victim Advocacy Program. They support victims of domestic violence and provide them resources. But for all the commanders in the room, I want to remind you that the victim advocates are there for you too. So if you have an incident of family violence within your units, if you contact the SAFE line at 966-7233, you can talk to a victim advocate and they can help you navigate through that incident. So do you have any questions again? I'll be available afterwards. Just sitting at the table right back there. You can approach me and ask any question you want. Any questions now? All right, thank you.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Mosley. I'm the Armed Forces Family Action Plan Program Coordinator. So if you look on your tables, we have some flyers. This month, we're having 3 focus groups, one for the teens, which will be October 14th at the Hillside Teen Center. So if your teens are looking for some community service hours, they can participate, make a difference in the military quality of life for the teens on that Saturday. Also, we have a brainstorming issues workshop on Friday, October 13th from 9 to 12 p.m. at the Family Resource Center. And we have our regular AFAP focus group on October 20th from 9 to 3 at the Family Resource Center. Also, we have issue submission boxes throughout the installation. So we have them at Wilson Rec, Hawks Transition, Stone Education, Waller Hall, the clinics. We have one at Winder Clinic, and we're rotating those 12 boxes. We also have some on McChord that give you an opportunity to submit your quality of life issues. So if you would look at the back of the flyer on your table, AFAP has 714 issues entered since 1983. Now, 60% of those issues were soldier-specific, while 65% of those issues have been included with our sister services. Some of the issues that everybody benefits from is the chiropractic care for active duty service members, the TRICARE for Life, the ability to transfer your Montgomery GI Bill or your post-9/11 GI Bill to your authorized family members, the audio-visual equipment in the CDCs to improve the quality of childcare. So there are so many issues out there that actually have been completed, 531 of those 714 issues. So I encourage you guys to submit your issues. There's issue submission forms also on your tables. They can be submitted online, and you can register for any of our groups at our Eventbrite, which is also on our AFCS Facebook page. Thanks.
Just a quick reminder, we showed this last month, but we still have time to register for the Make a Difference Day, which will be held on October 28th. This year we're doing a community-wide project, which is a cleanup project, so this is a great way to get volunteer hours, and also if you have kids that need some community service hours, like Stephanie mentioned, this is a great opportunity for them as well. And I will hand it off to Colonel Kent.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. She said, John Valeski, Sergeant Major Tag, community leaders, thanks for coming. My name is Colonel John Kent. I'm the Deputy Commanding Officer for Madigan Army Medical Center. Colonel Place sends his regrets, especially to you, Buck. He is with the Surgeon General this morning showing off your Madigan Army Medical Center. What I'm going to do today is talk a little bit about some of the things that General Valeski mentioned that we have coming up with MHS Genesis. Would point you to the flyers on the table that kind of talk about some of the things just as a take-home. Next slide. So as the General mentioned, MHS Genesis is coming. It is a big deal for us. I will tell you, Madigan looks at the deployment of MHS Genesis here at JBLM as our deployment. So many of you have worked through, lived through, and soldiered through, or whatever the Air Force equivalent of soldiering through is, for a deployment, and this is very much what we're doing now. We have gone through staffing, equipping, training, upwards of 75 to 80,000 hours of individual training for your entire JBLM medical team up to this point, which includes a lot of the medics that are in the line units as well. And so this is a huge lift for us. The question really becomes, what are the things that as a community you can do to help us and to help yourselves as we go through? Next slide. So there are a number of things that we're asking our patients to do as we get ready to go live. First and foremost, our go live date is the 21st of October. What's going to happen is on the 20th of October, we're going to ramp down pretty significantly to allow the IT guys to to disconnect and reconnect all the equipment and gear and make sure that everything's working for us. So running up onto that date, it's going to get pretty hard for us to take care of business as we normally do on a day-to-day basis. So these things are listed up here, getting in and getting your refills done. Getting in, if your physician has ordered for you or your provider has ordered labs or pharmacy, radiology services or other things that need to be done, go in and get those done now. Don't wait, because it's going to get busy. It's going to get hard, so please take care of those. The referrals that you get from your provider, if you're getting referrals or if your family members are getting referrals, you ask them, keep a hard copy of that in case the computer eats your homework. We expect there'll be some glitches. We don't want to lose track of those things. Last and not least, talks about Relay Health. Next slide, please. So right now, Relay Health is the system that you use to communicate with your provider. When we go to MHS Genesis, we're going to use this thing called a patient portal. There's a requirement for registering and logging in and getting that thing set up. But at the same time, we'd ask if you're planning on leaving JBLM at some point and going to another installation, don't shut off your Relay Health, because you'll need that if you go anywhere after here that doesn't have MHS Genesis yet. And it's going to take the DoD probably 6 or 8 years to roll out MHS Genesis across the entire formation. So if you kill that account here, when you go somewhere else, now you're going to have to start it all over again. So you just basically want to leave that one alone, but go ahead and get in here and register for the patient portal. The challenge to this thing is they use those really cool, very complex passwords to do that. So the DS login, for CAT card folks, you can use your CAT card, but if you don't have a CAT card, which is most of the beneficiaries that we see that are non-active duty, you have to get a DS logon. It's a bit of a process, which is to say it's kind of a pain. We're going to have some folks throughout the hospital to help. We're going to have some stations set up where you can do that. But we ask folks to get out there and get after that early, because it's going to take a little bit of time. And one of the most, what we're hearing from the other sites, one of the kind of disturbing pieces to this is, if you're doing DS login and you don't have a CAT card, it asks you some fairly personal questions. So you kind of ask yourself, so when it asks you your spouse's maiden name, and you're kind of like, well, how the hell does the system know that? Well, it's from the government, and they know. So there's a series of questions that they're going to ask that might be a little disturbing to folks that are coming out of various government systems. And that's their way of validating that you're you. Because remember what this is. This is your portal to communicate with your provider. So what you don't want is somebody pretending to be you talking to your provider about your health care. So it's important we be secure, and that's just a little piece to kind of keep track of. Next slide. Okay, so on the non-MHS Genesis front, which is hard to believe there's anything the way things are going now in our minds, but a couple things to keep track of. One is, if you're using our pharmacy call-in refill system, it's now going to start asking you for a birth date instead of last 4 years sponsor's social. This is a patient safety issue. As you can imagine, there are a number of people under, say, if you're a service member and you got 4 family members, if they're all going in with your last 4 of the social, there's an opportunity there to make a mistake. But the birth dates are unique. And you probably notice that when you come into the clinic and they ask you for your full name and your date of birth. We stopped asking for that last 4. Now the system's going to stop asking for that as well. So people just need to kind of listen to the message and answer the question that's being asked, because if they give the last 4, it's probably going to error out. Next slide. Flu season coming up. We've already started shooting your medical staff to make sure that they're stay healthy, in particular as we go through MHS Genesis. But shortly after Genesis, starting week of 13 through 17, and then again 20 through 22, we'll have folks in the mall at the hospital to do flu shots. So it is the season. 'Tis the season to get that flu shot. This Colonel Place up there, I think he cried like a baby buck. I've just thrown it out there. Yeah. So this one hurt a little bit. It wasn't quite like anthrax, but it was a pretty good one. So anyway, so flu campaign's coming up. Next slide. Last, a shout out to our breast cancer awareness folks. Got a booth in the back here. Please stop by and see them, get some great information. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and so they've got some good information on that for you. And last slide. As always, if you need to contact us or if you want to hear about what's going on, we've got a number of different ways. Our new social media lead person is doing a great job, so Facebook, Twitter, all the usual suspects, lots of different ways to see and hear what's going on. We are pushing a lot of information about Genesis as we're learning things, as we're seeing things, to help the community be prepared for this as well. So please take advantage of those ways to access us. Okay.
Hey, if I could, I just want to double tap really quickly again, MHS Genesis. This isn't going to be a short-term thing. I mean, the installations that have this, it's taken them about 6 months to get things straight, to get it back on track. So I can't overemphasize exactly what you've heard. I'd ask for a show of hands, but I'd have to raise mine if I have not yet prepared for MHS Genesis. Because there's a lot of things that are going to be challenged by this system just because it's a new system. So I would ask each and every one of you, because I know I'm going to start getting calls about 3 weeks after the 21st of October with a lot of people asking me why outpatient services are so impacted. This is what I talked about with the Surgeon General for 30 minutes yesterday. So I would really ask you, push people to go do this. And expectation management. This won't be solved in a month. They're talking 6 months. So please get everybody to prepare for this. And if it goes faster, then that's great. But what I don't want people to think of is, well, I'll just wait it out for a month or two, because it may not be solved that quickly. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, ma'am, everybody. I'm Steve Perrin. I'm the Director of Public Works. Busy month. It's also Energy Awareness Month. So in observance of this, we've, for the last several years, have gotten with Clover Park School District and the elementary schools on JBLM, 1st through 5th graders, to do a poster competition. It's been very, very successful in the past, and winners get gift cards. So what's in it for you? They get the gift cards. They can buy mom and dad a gift with that gift card. So I'm sure they will want to do that. Next slide, please. There's a hotel commercial on TV. We'll leave the lights on for you. I ask you not to do that if all possible. We have a JBLM utility bill of $25 million a year. Anybody's savings will help out. All savings goes to the operational forces of DOD. So what you save goes to the fighting force. Who's the worst abuser of energy? You're looking at them, DPW. We've got some very, very old systems. We've got motor pool lights that are on all night long. They shouldn't be, and some of them are on all day long. We're continuing to work that. We've put tens of millions of dollars in the last 6 or 8 years in energy efficiency projects, but we still have a long way to go, and we need your help. So there's a number right there, 2394. Please write that down. 1,000 set of eyes, 10,000 set of eyes is a lot better than our set of eyes. So if you see some energy problems, you see a building with lights on, please call that number and leave a message. I have one guy that gets on there every morning, and we track those things. We may not get to it right away, but it's on our checklist, and we'll get to it. Again, we're trying to save money for the operational forces. Next slide, please. Okay, another challenge that DPW has, POL products in our stormwater drains or our sewer lines. 2 sides. One is family housing. It was kind of ironic. We were taking Colonel Lucas last week to go look at different types of housing across our 5,000 houses on the installation. And right next door to the house that we were showing her that was empty was a car that was no wheels. It was all jacked up, and there was a lot of parts all over the ground. That is not allowed. If there's a Clean Water Act, if you put oil purposely into these systems, be it stormwater or into the waste, you could be personally fined and held liable for that. Now, on the unit side, the big challenge is motor pools or changing oils or the combat vehicle wash racks. We get in our systems, our wastewater system collection lines, what we call slugs, big slugs of petroleum oils and stuff that go in, and our wastewater treatment guys, wastewater treatment guys get notified through a system when it enters the wastewater treatment plant that there's POL products in there. They can also smell the difference. Yeah, wastewater treatment plant smells differently. The oil does, it can kill the bugs in our wastewater treatment plant. It could shut down our $91 million wastewater treatment plant. So please, on the unit side, take care of your waste petroleum oils correctly, because it could kill our wastewater treatment plant. Next slide. This is great news. In August, I don't have the September numbers yet, but in August, we almost hit 7,500 riders. That's an increase over the last 3 months of about 1,500. We continue to increase. The ridership, single soldiers, family members. So it's a great asset to have. So as long as we can continue to use it, we'll be able to continue to keep it. So please pass the word. You can also use an app. If you use One Bus Away, is that what it is, Kathy? Yeah, One Bus Away, you can go add that app, and if you put your locator on there, it'll tell you exactly where you are, and if you're standing next to a GO Transit stop, it tells you when the next bus or when the next van's going to be there and where you can go. So it's very, very easy, very user-friendly. Next slide. Again, everybody's been on I-5. Traffic is bad. Traffic is going to get worse. They're expecting 2 million more people in the South Puget Sound in the next 10 years, so traffic on I-5 is going to get worse. The way to do that is get a van pool, if you can van pool. Both Pierce Transit and Thurston County are given incentives. If you join today, they'll give you $25. And if you're already a rider and you add a rider to it, they'll give you $50. They're really serious about that. I have a division chief that has been using this for years. He saves $5,000 a year using it. So it's a pocketbook incentive for everybody that could do that. Any questions for me? I know it was quick. Please save your energy. Don't turn your lights on. Okay, I'll be followed by Don Meyer.
Good morning. Just real quick, since we're getting into the trick-or-treat season, up there is all the information on Halloween and decorations, so if you can jot that down. What's not on the slide, I'd like to point out, we finally made it through peak season for the PCS season at the end of September. However, we still have a housing issue. We have 99% leased housing right now, which means we only have 1% vacant, which we're doing between occupancy maintenance on, so housing is still at a flux, and we have over 700 families on the waiting list for on-base housing. So what does that mean for service members here on installation? For some period of time, you will probably be off the installation, staying somewhere before you can get on the installation. Depending on what neighborhood service member picks, the waiting times are anywhere from 45 days to 18 months. So make sure you go to the Housing Services Office on Pendleton. It's 5128 Pendleton. And they can link you up with short-term rentals, extended stays with the hotels that we've partnered with, and they can also get you into the rental partnership program if you want to do that as well. So make sure you spread the word. You get some good savings by going to the HSO office. Pending any questions for housing? Okay, next slide, please.
Hold on, you got a question here.
On the slide, it said trick-or-treating is Monday, the 31st, but on the calendar, it says Tuesday. Can we verify, are we trick-or-treating Monday or Tuesday?
Yeah, we can check that and get it back out through Public Affairs. Joe's telling me it's Tuesday.
It's on Halloween.
So it's on Halloween. Any other questions? Okay.
No? Next slide, please. Morning, everybody. Kelly Wetzel with MWR. Quick rundown of some of the fun stuff that we've got going on in the next month or so. The Zombie Apocalypse Run was mentioned earlier. This is the third year that we've done this. It's your chance to, you've got a choice here. You can either run from the zombies or we take volunteers to be zombies. We have, depending on what movies you've seen, speedy zombies, slow zombies, you know, galloping zombies. It just depends on what kind of zombie you want to be. But so you can run from the zombies. You get flags. They grab at the flags. You got to have your flags when you're at the end so that you can win the race. And then the cool deal is you get a ticket to go to Walk in the Dark at Shoreline Park once you've completed the race. Another big event we've got coming up is the Harvest Fest. It's our annual Harvest Fest at Hillside Youth Center. Kids up to grades 5 are invited to come out, have a great time, lots of crafts, games, food. We keep them busy for a couple of hours for you. And then a quick rundown at the bottom. Mummy and Me Night at the Book Patch Library. We've got that golf scramble coming up on October 13th. First ever used book sale out at Grand Staff Library. We're going to try and make a little bit of money and get some space for some new books to come into the library that way. And then Wine and Canvas at Nelson Rec right here in the ballroom. If you like to paint and sample wine, it's a good opportunity. And then Trunk or Treat outside of Shoreline Park on the 28th. So we have folks parking their cars, opening up and passing out candy if you want to do a little early trick-or-treating that way. Next slide. And then this is the rundown of events coming up through December. Care Fair, which is always, that's the MWR Pamper Fest where spouses come and we've got mimosas, we do nails, we have massage. It's just a nice relaxing day. The World War II Book Club is continuing. We have the Commander's Cup Swim Meet coming up at Soldiers Field House. The Turkey Trot, which is our Thanksgiving run. the Big Bang Variety Show, which is an Army entertainment program that's winding its way through JBLM. Thanksgiving buffet. If you don't want to cook Thanksgiving, this is your opportunity to have somebody cook the entire meal for you. Plus, we'll also be doing Thanksgiving to go at American Lake Community Center, so you can pick up your meal to go that way, impress your friends and family. The holiday tree lighting at the end of November, and then sporting plays, Jingle Bell Jog, and then the ever popular Breakfast with Santa at the middle of December. That'll be over at the McChord Club. If you've got any questions, I will be at the table afterwards. Otherwise, have a great couple of months. Thanks.
Hey, I'm just going to take a few seconds to introduce the boss team. I got it written down, not because I don't know their names, but I forget what units they come from. All right, so Specialist Blakely is our current boss vice president. Our president is actually at the basic leader course, and she will be graduating shortly. But Specialist Blakely is from 2nd Brigade, 217 Fires. Specialist Failer comes from the 42nd MPs, and he's our secretary/treasurer. Airman First Class Peckham, it comes from the 627th Comm Squadron. And these three gentlemen, with our president and our advisor, Jen Helm and Bill Strock, who's around here, they basically run the boss program for everyone here. Sergeant Major Tagg had an opportunity to spend some time with them yesterday, identify some challenges that we worked through to make sure that we're providing an awesome service and an awesome time for our soldiers and our airmen to get out, enjoy life, and build some resiliency skills. So I'm going to shut up, let these guys talk about what BOSS is doing.
Morning, everybody. Morning. As stated before, I am Specialist Blakely. I'm the Vice President of the BOSS program for the installation. What BOSS is about, as you can see, we have the three pillars. First one, quality of life. We are here to ensure that all single service members have a good quality of life. That means the barracks are taken care of. The DFACs are serving them good portions for food and stuff like that. Simple things like that. We are here for the single service member to come to us so we can help them resolve the issue. The second one, community service. Our biggest thing that we like to do is volunteer. We like to give back. For example, we're doing a clothing/food drive that is ending on the 12th of October. We are taking to a homeless shelter in Lakewood, and we're going to give it to the homeless shelter to try to help out the community, because that's what this is all about. We're here, we have not only single service members that like to come out and help the volunteer, but we also have married personnel. And you can volunteer through us, through VMIS, which is also a great way to get volunteer hours for MOVSM. Because everybody likes more chest candy, I don't care what rank you are. And then the final one is recreation and leisure. We like to take single service members, and on occasion we do things with married personnel. We like to keep them out of the barracks and keep them going out and exploring the state, because yes, it's Washington, yes, it can be rainy and gloomy, but there's a lot of beautiful things that people can do. We've gone on hiking trips up to Mount Rainier. We went to the Olympic Mountains. We went whitewater rafting before, stuff like that. We just like to keep everybody we try to make it as fun as possible, because it's not just okay, I'm in the military, I'm stuck on this base for 3 years. It should be an experience for everybody. Everybody should get something out of their time on this base, whether it's going whitewater rafting or if it's just maybe let's go to the state fair like we did last week, like stuff like that. We like to do that. We like to keep everybody involved, not only in the community, but in the state and within the military. So our biggest thing that's coming up is the Walk in the Dark at Shoreline Park. It's the biggest attraction. It's the second biggest haunted house attraction in the state. The only way we can make it to the #1 spot is if we get volunteers. We need 70 personnel to help us, to scare people, to dress up and just scare a bunch of people. I mean, who doesn't want to frighten people, make them scared, make them run around? Last year we had people pee their pants. I mean, that kind of stuff is fun. We just need people to help us out. So what I'm asking for all of you guys is to please help us. Push this out. from the top down. We've already been pushing it from the bottom up. We need to get volunteers for us for this stuff, because we need as much assistance as we can possibly get to make this the #1 rated attraction in the state of Washington. I mean, who doesn't want that? That'll look amazing. That, oh, cool, guess what? A bunch of military people that are all, who are strong and stuff like that can make people pee their pants. I mean, who doesn't want to do that kind of stuff? So that's it. So that's the BOSS program in a nutshell. We're here to assist everybody. Yeah, and to make them pee their pants, apparently. But we're here to assist and improve the quality of life for not only the single service members, but for everybody. We're here for everyone. Thank you.
Good morning, leaders, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Mark Gauthier, the Garrison Chaplain and Senior Pastor for the Lewis Main Chapel Congregation. Time for better opportunities for spiritual service members. This Monday morning, we had a stand down for suicide prevention. And I know on Friday, the Air Force will have something with Wingman Day. And as you think about the components for effective suicide prevention, one of the things that's important to realize is the benefit of religious faith. Dr. Harold Koenig did a review of 141 studies of the impact of religious faith and suicidal ideations, gestures, and successful suicide. 75% of those studies showed a reduction in suicide because of religious faith. So as you think about the prongs that you're doing to try to reduce this, consider religious faith as a very important and clinically research-proven method to bring things down. That being said, Faith and Family University, it's on its fourth Wednesday. The program has been running on both campuses, about 300 service members and families. Starts with a light meal, spiritual education and formation from ages 4 up to adult at Lewis Main Chapel, as well as the Chapel Support Center. A portfolio of classes to look at marriage, relationships, financial planning, and introduction to faith, and also a women's study as well. Jewish High Holy Days starting this evening. So if you have Jewish service members or those interested, those are going on in the building behind the Lewis Main Chapel congregation. And then Operation Christmas Child, every year we collect shoe boxes. Inside those shoe boxes are clothing articles, soccer balls, school supplies to be sent to children in developing nations in tough circumstances and situations. Our goal is 1,000 shoe boxes this year. If you're looking for a project for your family to practice during Christmas time, a family readiness project, this would be a great opportunity. Fill up some boxes and bring them to the chapels. And then finally, the Harvest Festival, which will be at the MWR tent, another alternative to celebrating Halloween, safe environment for your kids. This concludes the chaplain portion. Are there any questions? All right, thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Mike Cruz from McChord Commissary. We got a few upcoming events. As you know, it's Halloween time frame. Both commissaries are selling their Halloween goods. I know everybody likes to shop after Halloween for their markdowns. Next slide. At the McChord Commissary on October 14th, we're going to be having coloring pictures, which is 5 fingers, leaves for the holidays. We're also going to be having a pumpkin coloring contest for the kids. Stop by, sign up for that. And all the pictures will be hung in front of the commissary. We've been doing that for the last couple of years. Next slide. International candies are here. The calendars and everything else, the liquor candies, that's all here. Take advantage of all those savings, and it says give a unique gift for the holidays. The only thing I can think of is the liquor candies. But shop early for the selections. Is there a next slide? No. Any questions? Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Stacy Sterling. I'm representing the Exchange today. I'd like to highlight some calendar events that we have going on. Primarily the 10th through the 13th of October is Fire Prevention Week, which there will be displays in front of your Fort Lewis main store. We have an autograph signing coming up with Doug Stanton on the 18th of October. And then we have our annual safety event from the 27th of October. Next slide. We'd like to also remind everybody we will have reduced hours of operation for Columbus Day. So if you're questioning whether your facility near you is open, please check out exchange.com. We also have 15% coming up on your first day purchase on your Star Card from the 13th through the 26th of October. So as our forefront for our organization is vetverify.com. It's a huge movement for us as an organization to recognize all of our vets and their eligibility for shopping purposes. That's a go-live date on the 11th of November, 2017. Is there any questions for the exchange?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Serena West, and I am the president of the Lewis Community Spouses Club. Just a quick word of thanks for continuing to get the word out about the club. We had about 90 people at our first luncheon, and our next event is tomorrow evening, and we are at about 126, I believe, for RSVPs. So the numbers are growing. Please continue to push that information out. We've got a lot of exciting things planned for the rest of the year, the first of which coming up is Holiday Market, and Pam, our advisor, will tell you a little bit more about that.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Pam McFarland. Just want to tell you a little bit briefly about the Holiday Market. We're very excited. We have moved it to Lakes High School this year. It just seemed like we were struggling a little bit with getting everybody that wants to shop onto Post. This way, off Post a little bit, we can get more of our civilian community to be able to take part in it. We are still looking for vendors. If you know of any other small businesses that would like to participate, our vendor applications are on our website. And the day is November 4th. It's going to be open from 10 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. It's going to be great fun. It's $5 for adults, so anybody 18 and over, it's $5 to get in, and we really look forward. So please push the information. We're very excited that it's going to be a good day. Yes? Do you have opportunities for family readiness groups to? We absolutely do. Not only do vendors can host a table or a booth, but FRGs, we welcome you, and we do a very discounted booth price. We have to charge a little bit just to cover our costs, but I believe it's half the price of the normal vendor booths for FRGs. So if you would like to, you can do the same application on Post or online on our website, and there's a part there that you can check that you're an FRG, and it gives you a discounted price. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Okay, ma'am, I'll turn it over to you for Q&A.
All right, are there any questions? That was a huge agenda. I know we covered a lot, but a couple of really big things in here, tucked in here, and then all kind of important, certainly, for the community events. I was going to check the calendar to count how many days until Christmas. I forgot to do it. Does anybody know? How many? 82 days to Christmas. Are there any questions? Steve, what was that phone number for the lights, if you see lights on? 219-2394. If you see lights on someplace that doesn't look like it should be, please call that and leave that message. Yes, Alicia. Oh, one change based on, so on your table there are feedback sheets. We really want your feedback. One of the suggestions that I got at the last community update was that we move around with where we do the community update. So we are going to take the show to McChord next month. So 1 November is our next meeting, and it is at the McChord Club. So you got to plan. We'll all convoy, if you're on this side, over the Unity Bridge to McChord for next month. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry to delay. I was just wondering, have there been changes to CYS funding for deployed families? I've seen postings for different posts and.
use the mic. Good question. Yes, we'll answer that.
Why, yes, there are. And in the back today, there are information flyers and the matrix on what the new benefits are and what the changes are. And the memo went out this morning because we had they gave us a matrix that was incorrect, so we had to come back and make sure you got the right one. So everyone who is a CYS employee or patron will get the email. If you are not a patron and you would like to see what the benefits are, you can see our Parent and Outreach Services table in the back, and they will be glad to explain everything to you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Sir, do you want to make any closing comments?
Good morning. You know, the audience today is about 3 times more than we had the last time we had this. So it really says that you really care about our community and what the community is doing. So thank you for being here and supporting that. Now, since the Air Force says they are the best branch of the service, they volunteered to do the zombie run, by the way. And they're not very fast, so you can get away from them. Boom. I spent some time with the BOSS program yesterday. What an opportunity to talk to some of these young soldiers. So I asked the sergeant majors out here, so give them the time to be a BOSS rep. Send them to these meetings that they have to do and talk to them and see what activities are going on. A lot of the times when we just say BOSS program, people forget about what BOSS program does and what it does for our soldiers, because they do care. And you know, as senior leaders, we don't really know what's going on at their level, at the E4, E2, you know, E3. They do things differently down there. They communicate differently down at that level. So if we just stop and listen to what they're doing, they can really tell us what's going on in the formations, how we can improve their quality of life, their barracks, their DFAC, because they are our number one people to care for. All right, they are the soldiers and the airmen who really do the groundwork for us and really make us successful. So just one last time, just thanks for being here. Cool.
Hey, I just want to say thanks again. 2 things. The next community update, the Corps will be in Korea doing our warfighter, so we won't have the opportunity to say hello to you next month, but we will be in December, and we'll have it when we're back from Korea after our warfighter, before we go right to Yamasakura in Japan. So it is a busy time for the Corps. But I want to highlight one thing, and I really ask your help. The chaplain talked about suicide prevention. I don't call it that. I call it value of life. And so we have a value of life campaign on JBLM. And we did a stand down for value of life because we had 2 suicides in 15 hours at JBLM this weekend. And so as we looked at the trend lines, we saw that we are entering in the annual time frame the most risk for suicides in our Army. And if you look at the trend lines over about 3 or 4 years, we're entering that period between now and about January or February. And then we have another little spike later on. But you know, we talk about it amongst each other a lot. But who I'm really talking to are all of those folks that are here that aren't commanders, that are where the rubber meets the road, and family members. You know, in our newcomers brief, my sergeant major and I are briefing that now. We got a little triangle chart, and I put our soldiers, new soldiers, right in the middle of that triangle. And there's 3 points to it: their family, their battle buddy, or their immediate supervisor. Those are the 3 groups that know more about soldiers and airmen on the ground than anybody else. And so I need them to get energized and intervene, act, and motivate. And really just let somebody know that somebody's going through a challenging period and they need some help. If I could energize all of you, 90% of our suicides would disappear. I know it. 90% of our acts of indiscipline would disappear because we're intervening, acting, and motivating. And so all of you, I'm going to, you know, if I could have you raise your right hand and repeat after me, you're all my sensors out there. And I really need us all to be engaged, especially between now and January. But to not end on a bad note, thanks for all you do. And I look forward to going to the zombie run. I look forward to seeing the Air Force try to catch us. It'll be exciting. I'm glad to see you volunteered for that. I look forward to seeing your boss out there too. All these events are really great, and I just ask you to support them and support, as my sergeant major said, those great folks over there that are doing more for about 80% of our servicemen and women who aren't married that really got to get after it and have a great experience. So thanks for all you do, and thanks, Nicole, and your team.
Thank you, sir. The last thing I'll close with is this is our community update. It's yours, it's mine, and I am looking for your feedback. So please fill that out however you fill out your sheets, send your notes, give me feedback when I send you the email from the commander. So please let me know if this is scratching the itch that you have, it's meeting your information needs. You know, I really want to, and I'll use the Oktoberfest as an example. I had a lot of people tell me they didn't even know it was happening. That worries me about how can I help communicate all of the amazing things that are happening. And I want your feedback on the best way to do that, and I want to help you, be able to get this information to all the right levels where it needs to be. So I'll ask that in terms of information sharing. And then the other part is, our installation, our community, help us in those areas to be safe, turn the lights off, report speeding, a sprinkler head that's not working right, all of those. If we're all the sensor, we will together, continue to make the installation safe and better. Thanks again for your time.